Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CLX Foundry Live, where we dive deep into a build and assemble it right from the ground up. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, and of course, joining me is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, it's Zack Killingsworth. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello. Hey, doing good.
Good. Well, apparently somebody in California needs a computer, and his name is Brian. We've got some fun things to put in there. Before we start with that and looking at that parts list, don't forget our show Thursday is actually moved to Friday, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 noon Eastern. So you want to make sure you wake up early and you get there, because it's going to be a show you're going to want to see. So with that being said, guys, what are we shoving in a very tiny box today?
All right, so Brian has custom configured a Scarab on our website. So Zach's grabbing the case. This is the O11 Mini, the Snow White edition. So there's two white versions of the O11 Mini. This is the Snow White, so all the screws are silver. There's just a lot more white going on than black accents.
Well, that's cool.
I like this one. So going inside of this, we've got a Ryzen 5 5600X for our processor. We've got a 120 CLX Quench AIO for our liquid cooler to cool that. Our motherboard is an ASRock B550M Pro 4. We've got 2 sticks of Patriot 8GB 3200 DDR4, so a total of 16 gigs of system memory. Our main storage is going to be a 1TB Patriot P300 M.2 drive. We've got a 4060 Ti for our video card, 7 case fans, and then a Silverstone 750-watt SFX 80+ Platinum to power it all.
Nice. Awesome. Sounds fun. Now, this obviously we've talked about small form factors. By the way, hello everybody and welcome to the show. Mayura, good to see you. Jedi Smuggler's Hill Elm. I feel like I know who that is. And of course, Patriot is bullying. Good to see everybody. I am doing all right today. Today's an interesting day. Yes, it is kick day. So obviously, this is what's considered a small form factor or an ITX, if that's right. Can you walk through the difference in sizes and what that means?
Yeah, so with sizes, they typically go by form factor is what we call them. So most of the cases that you see are ATX. The systems behind us are ATX. ATX really covers your mid towers and up, so your standard size to the really big elites that we see. Then we've got MATX, which is what we're using for this build, since this is a small case, but it's designed in a way that we can fit an MATX board in it, which is a little bit bigger than an ITX.
Gotcha.
Which leads me to ITX, which is the smallest form factor, usually just 4 screws that mount that motherboard to the case and just really tiny cases.
Is there any advantage to using an MATX board over an ITX board in such a small case? Or are there any drawbacks?
So really, it's just going to come down to whatever you need. So if you don't have that much room on your desk or below your desk, or you're trying to put in a cabinet, that's typically where we see the smaller cases, or if you just like the aesthetic. Typically, when you go to an MATX board versus an ATX, it's obviously going to be smaller, so usually there's less PCIe slots, sometimes less M.2s, so that's just something to look out for too.
Cosmic Wolf did ask a question. He's, why aren't the screws white instead of silver?
I'm not sure. They went with silver probably because it's a lot easier to use a metal that's silver rather than paint these white. And then as soon as you stick a screwdriver in there to screw it in, probably going to chip off the paint. That's my,
so good.
You know, that's what I think's going on.
All right. Kicking off with our motherboard, let's take a look at it. This is an ASRock B550M Pro 4. I know this is a very interesting one because while it does have a great heatsink over the top of the North Bridge, the interesting part is it doesn't have a built-in IO shield. We've got one right there, and these are very special because these can cut off fingers. Let's take a look at that IO. There are inputs. So you might notice a couple things here that are not what we
5600X.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CLX Foundry Live, where we dive deep into a build and assemble it right from the ground up. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, and of course, joining me is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, it's Zack Killingsworth. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, doing good.
Good. Well, apparently somebody in California needs a computer, and his name is Brian. We've got some fun things to put in there. Before we start with that and looking at that parts list, don't forget our show Thursday is actually moved to Friday, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 noon Eastern. So you want to make sure you wake up early and you get there, because it's going to be a show you're going to want to see. So with that being said, guys, what are we shoving in a very tiny box today?
All right, so Brian has custom configured a Scarab on our website. So Zach's grabbing the case. This is the O11 Mini, the Snow White edition. So there's two white versions of the O11 Mini. This is the Snow White, so all the screws are silver. There's just a lot more white going on than black accents.
Well, that's cool.
I like this one. So going inside of this, we've got a Ryzen 5 5600X for our processor. We've got a 120 CLX Quench AIO for our liquid cooler to cool that. Our motherboard is an ASRock B550M Pro 4. We've got 2 sticks of Patriot 8GB 3200 DDR4, so a total of 16 gigs of system memory. Our main storage is going to be a 1TB Patriot P300 M.2 drive. We've got a 4060 Ti for our video card, 7 case fans, and then a Silverstone 750 watt SFX 80 Plus Platinum to power it all.
Nice. Awesome. Sounds fun. Now, this obviously we've talked about small form factors. By the way, hello everybody and welcome to the show. Mayura, good to see you. Jedi Smuggler's Hill, Elm. I feel like I know who that is. And of course, Patriot is bullying. Good to see everybody. I am doing all right today. Today's an interesting day. Yes, it is kick day. So obviously this is what's considered a small form factor or an ITX, if that's right. Can you walk through the difference in sizes and what that means?
Yeah, so with sizes, they typically go by form factor is what we call them. So most of the cases that you see are ATX. The systems behind us are ATX. ATX really covers your mid towers and up, so your standard size to the really big elites that we see. Then we've got MATX, which is what we're using for this build, since this is a small case, but it's designed in a way that we can fit an MATX board in it, which is a little bit bigger than an ITX.
Gotcha.
Which leads me to ITX, which is the smallest form factor, usually just 4 screws that mount that motherboard to the case in just really tiny cases.
Is there any advantage to using an MATX board over an ITX board in such a small case? Or are there any drawbacks?
So really, it's just going to come down to whatever you need. So if you don't have that much room on your desk or below your desk, or you're trying to put in a cabinet, that's typically where we see the smaller cases, or if you just like the aesthetic. Typically, when you go to an MATX board versus an ATX, it's obviously going to be smaller, so usually there's less PCIe slots, sometimes less M.2s, so that's just something to look out for too.
Cosmic Wolf did ask a question. Is why aren't the screws white instead of silver?
I'm not sure. They went with silver probably because it's a lot easier to use a metal that's silver rather than paint these white. And then as soon as you stick a screwdriver in there to screw it in, probably going to chip off the paint. That's my,
that's good.
You know, that's what I think's going on.
All right. Kicking off with our motherboard, let's take a look at it. This is an ASRock B550M Pro 4. Now, this is a very interesting one because while it does have a great heatsink over the top of the North Bridge, the interesting part is it doesn't have a built-in IO shield. We've got one right there, and these are very special because these can cut off fingers. Let's take a look at that IO, our inputs. So you might notice a couple things here that are not what we've seen on a lot of different motherboards. That serial port is actually a VGA port, and then you've got your what they call the P2 PS2 ports, and that's not PlayStation. It's actually the green and purple used to be you'd have one each, one for your keyboard, one for your mouse. Now they've got a combo. You can use it for either if you have any legacy gear to connect, but also we've got advanced features like USB 3.2 Gen 2. We've got a USB-C port there, plus multiple USB 3 ports, and then you've got your standard 3 audio out, plus your RJ45, also known as your Ethernet jack. So, and it is a gigabit LAN port, so it's good for 1 gig up, 1 gig down, which is great. And we'll talk about that IO shield cover in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going to install that AMD Ryzen 5 5600X. Paul, what is so amazing about this processor?
Yeah, so this is a 6-core, 12-thread processor. So it's got AMD's multi-threading on each core. It's got a base speed of 3.7, and it'll boost up to 4.6 when it can. So really good clock speeds on this processor. It's a great middle-of-the-road CPU, great for gaming.
Yeah, I use a Ryzen 5 3600X in my streaming machine.
Okay, yeah.
It's definitely on the lower tier side, but it works.
Still solid processors. That Ryzen 5 line is kind of that mid-tier where it's really good for gaming, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get it.
Well, and when it comes to heat, how do they run compared to larger processors?
Yeah, so with this being 6-core, 12-thread, it'll run cooler than a larger processor. Now, this processor typically comes with the Wraith Stealth fan. That's an air cooler that AMD includes. The Stealth is the smallest of their air coolers, so that's kind of, I guess I would say, their recommendation for cooling this thing starting out. Now, we're obviously using a 120 AIO to cool this, so the cooling off this 120 mil AIO is going to be far superior to the Stealth that comes with it.
Nice. And of course, for this, we're going to be using a CLX Quench 120 closed liquid cooler. That is an AIO. Now, this is similar to what I have in my old gaming machine, but I have a push-pull on mine. Okay. We're going to be doing just a push, correct?
Correct. Yep, we'll be pushing it out. This will be in the rear, so we will be exhausting out.
Gotcha. That's actually exactly how this other PC was put together. Was all the rear exhaust was what was attached to the AIO.
Yeah.
So Shasta said USB is a nightmare to explain all the different ones. It does take a minute to figure it all out.
There are so many different revisions of like the standard USB connector. It's hard to keep them all straight.
And of course, if you guys hear anything that we say and it just doesn't sound quite right, or you're not sure what it is, please ask. That we're here to answer all sorts of questions, no matter where they come from. So the Kid Slump says, my PC I bought from you runs good for cheap. Nice. Good.
Hey, great to hear.
Axatoni, we're going to be going through that slowly but surely. Right now, we've got an ASRock B550M Pro 4 board with an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X processor. At the moment, we're just connecting our 120 cooler, which is an all-in-one. They mentioned this came with a Stealth fan.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to fan coolers, is there any different consideration that you need to take compared to, say, when you're dealing with a liquid cooler?
Not really. Pretty much, if it's coming with a cooler, it's going to have the screws that will match that plate. So there's really not much you got to do. I think you take off the clips and screw that one in. But a lot of air coolers usually mount the same, especially if they're coming from AMD themselves. They have done it where on their higher end ones, they'll have like 2 clamps that clip into the clips versus 4 screws that go into the back plate. But once you've done one, they're pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We get a fan on our AIO now.
Nice. Those would be a good bounce back and forth, the white and black.
Yeah, I really like this. I'm glad they went with white fans in this white build.
Yeah. This is why there was chosen a white 120.
Yeah, that would be cool if there was, yeah.
Let's see here. From somebody who has never liked white builds. Cosmic Wolf, honestly, I had never thought about it until I saw one and was like, what? This is awesome. And then, of course, I painted the outside of mine. Expectations Met asked, who rebrands the products with your guys' logo?
Yeah, so we actually get them from our supplier with that. So sometimes they'll come on, sometimes we'll get the caps and install them ourselves, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, up next, what are we doing?
Let's get to the M.2. Let's go to that next.
All right. So our M.2 is going to be a 1 terabyte Patriot P300. It's a PCIe 3 M.2 NVMe solid state drive. These are great. They look right into the board, quick and fast on the interface. What are some of the advantages to having an M.2 over, say, a hard disk drive or a 2.5-inch solid state?
Yeah, so the biggest advantage is going to be your transfer speeds and just your speeds of booting up. So when we first started seeing everything going to SSDs from hard disk drives, the first thing you noticed was your boot time, whereas before you might be taking a couple minutes for your system to boot up. Now it takes a couple seconds. So M.2s have really just taken over the market. They're getting to be really affordable, even in the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte capacities. So just great technology there. It's great to boot up your machine fast, but then also if you have games on there, your load times drop drastically.
And I know I've mentioned this before, but the first time that I ever noticed anything was when my solid state died on my old PC, and I went and got an M.2, plugged it onto the board, and the difference in load speeds with the games I had on there was night and day. Absolutely night and day. All right, up next, let's talk about our RAM. We've got two 8-gig sticks of Patriot DDR4 3200 RAM for a total of 16 gigs. Ta-da! Here we go. Pizza Cow asks, will there be a new giveaway this month? There will. You'll definitely want to tune in on Friday to our non-standard stream. We're going to be doing a stream on Friday instead of Thursday over on Twitch, and it will be starting at 9 a.m. Pacific. That is noon Eastern, so a little bit earlier. Definitely want to be there to check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Winter says, my current board isn't compatible with M.2.
Oh, that's
interesting.
Bad. You can always go with if you don't want to upgrade your motherboard and everything else, which I understand, you can always go with a 2.5-inch SSD. Has the same connections as a regular 3.5-inch hard disk drives, and you'll see a big improvement there.
Okay. Now, I do notice that similar to the other Leon Lee's, this is a Leon Lee case, by the way, everybody. It is, it still follows in the same line of that 2/3. This is more of a 3/4 case. If you take a look at the actual depth of where it sits, but I'm looking down here and seeing a door on the back, on the bottom, underneath those plates. What does that door go to?
Yeah, so this right here is going to be where you would put a 2.5-inch or a 3.5-inch drive. So if I open this up, you'll see a tray sticking out. If I can get this screw out. There you go. So we've got 2 trays there for either a 2.5-inch or a 3.5-inch drive. And then this spot right here is where our power supply is going to be. Now that obviously looks really small, but that's why we have an SFX power supply.
Yeah. Question coming in from Kaizen is about the CPU cooler. How do you replace liquid on these coolers, and how often?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So this is an AIO or all-in-one cooler, which obviously means all of our coolant is already in there. Now with these, you don't have to replace or refill the coolant in them. I've seen them last for, I mean, shoot, probably going on 10 years without needing any maintenance or anything like that. So yeah, you should never have to open it up or anything.
Radical mentions or a PCIe M.2 board, maybe. Oh, are you referring to Winter? Yeah, there's also the PCIe, yeah, the M.2 PCIe plugins is what you mean. I think I have one of those for that came with my board. Do you guys have any solid cases? Not much of a guy for flashy stuff. You mean windowless? I think we do. But while I figure out the answer to that, let's talk about what Zack is doing right now. Then this is an IO shield, and there's some pretty simple but consistent things you need to do with an IO shield when you're prepping it to put it in the case. Zack, walk us through that.
So as you just saw, I smushed back a little tab that's on our HDMI port and our display port. We want to push those back onto the IO shield so that they don't accidentally go into our HDMI slot or our display port when we go to put the motherboard in the case.
Gotcha. All right. Just pops it in there, and you want to hear that click.
Mm-hmm. Definitely be careful when handling an IO shield. The edges can be sharp. I've said it before on the show, but if I ever need a box open and I don't have a razor next to me, I will use an IO shield as a razor blade.
Right?
Like, no kidding. They are sharp.
Now, traditionally we've been doing a lot of work with the ATX boards, but in this case, obviously we've got a smaller board, a smaller form factor. So what are the different considerations you have to take when preparing to mount that on the, dang, I forgot the word. What are those things called?
Yeah, on the standoffs.
The standoffs. There we go. I wanted to say shock mount. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah. That's a good question, though. So with ATX boards, typically your mounting holes are always going to be the same. Sometimes ASRock will put an extra one on the left side, but 99% of the boards all the same holes. Well, that's not the case for MATX. So I don't know why there is such a difference in MATX, but when we get this thing in, Zack is putting in the standoffs right now. We'll show you the motherboard mounting holes. And on some MATXs, the bottom mounting holes are actually in different spots. So you want to make sure, sometimes you'll have to move a standoff around in your case to make sure that you got it in the right hole. I don't know why they do that, but it is a thing to worry about for MATX.
To keep us on our toes.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Make sure we're paying attention. Let's see. We've got a question coming in from Ducky Admin. Is about to get a job to get some money to buy a decent PC. Any PC that's good for running games. My budget is $1,500.
Yeah, you can definitely get a good PC for the $1,500 for sure. You know, shop around. You can build one on our website. Check out what you can. But yeah, you can definitely get a good PC too for $1,500. Yeah. If you want to look at some of our RTS systems, that's a really great place to start. And that will at least help you, even if you don't order one of those, it'll help you at least get an idea of what parts you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Vibe? How you doing? I am doing well. It is, again, we've got, it, for some reason, decided to rain overnight, which was funny. Katara, welcome in. Glad to have you here. And I'm actually looking on our site right now. You said 1,500. We've got some pretty decent, actually pretty amazing deals over here.
Yeah, we do have some really good deals running on our RTS systems right now. They're actually selling very quickly, so we are trying to restock those as fast as we can.
And do you know if you're running for so I would definitely, if you go to our website at clxgaming.com and click on the upper left hand side where it says products, you'll see just above where it says CLX Foundry, you'll click on ready to ship, and that will take you to all of our pre-builts. And there are quite a few different options, everything from AMD to Intel. You've got Radeon and NVIDIA cards going in these, and plenty of things that would work well in a gaming environment. Any sales on RTX 4060s? I need to upgrade my Horus. That is an excellent question.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any specific sales on the 4060 itself. I would have to look at our builds. We might have some promotion going on with certain video cards depending on the build. So I can't really give you a solid answer on that right now.
Axo Tony asks what the actual stats are on this build. So this is going to be an AMD Ryzen 5 5600 build. We're going to be putting in an NVIDIA card. We'll go over that part a little bit later. It is inside of a Scarab 011 Mini. So this is the special edition Snow White, and it is a small form factor. It's an ITX build. Yeah. Let's see here. What, Sky? Hi, Sky. How are you? Says, how is the glass tubing coolant better than others? That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. So what you're referring to there is an open loop system. And we do also build those here. We've done a couple on the show, actually. So I'm sure if you check out our YouTube, you can see some there. But getting to your question, so those systems are better at cooling because there is just physically so much more coolant in there. It has a lot more paths to flow, a lot more ways to cool that coolant. Typically the radiators are larger, even if they're, let's say, the same size as like a 360. Typically they're a little bit thicker, so they can cool it better. But really it goes to just the overall capacity of liquid is bigger, which correlates to having better cooling.
Matt says only a 120 by 120 radiator? Yes. What's the largest radiator you could actually fit in here?
So you can go up to a 360 in this case. This case does have some modular options as well, where you can shift the whole motherboard tray down, which we have done before. You can see right here all these screws here. You can actually take out these screws and shift this whole panel down. Then they've got covers to put up here so you don't have like a gap or anything like that.
No way. Sorry.
So,
Sky, did you get the Sky? Did you get the Sakura liquid
or
cooler?
the super pink?
Or yeah. Sorry.
What?
I just saw that and I was like, I was the one who got the pink one. I'm like, we just had a pink one and that thing looks amazing. A Sakura edition liquid open loop.
This guy says, yes, I am Tasha. Well, glad to hear,
Nice
Tasha.
meeting you.
And yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Hayden is working.
That's
on
gonna
it
be great.
today.
yeah.
Tonzi is in the house. What up, Tons? How are you? Good to see you. Katara, yes, that is the Leon Lee. It is a Leon Lee 011 Mini. So it is the, I believe it's the smallest Leon Lee 011 case that they make. I don't think they have one smaller than this.
Coming soon in 2025.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ducky asks, are we doing a giveaway? You know what? That's what we're going to do on Friday. We're going to announce that. So you definitely want to pop into our show. Again, our show for Thursday is being postponed until Friday because we've got something special. It's going to be at an earlier time. Instead of the normal 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern, it's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. So definitely pop in a little bit earlier. We're going to be over on Twitch at that point. Yeah. Yeah, everybody wants to see the pink one. Way to go, Tasha. Tonzi, how are you doing? Good to see you. Jammer says, hi, you guys built my PC about a year or so ago. Love it. It's a beast. Nice. Fully agree. The things they build are absolutely nuts. Love it. Well, I'm glad you're here, Tons. Good to see you. Can you tell me the time in IST, please? I know that we're GMT... West Coast is GMT -8, if I'm not mistaken.
What am I? Okay. I was seeing a couple of things. There we go.
India Standard Time. It is. So you're 5. Let me see. 9 a.m. Pacific. Let me do the math on this.
I appreciate you.
So
DJ.
okay, so in India Standard Time it would be 9:30 p.m. So you guys are 11 and a half, 12 and a half hours ahead of us.
Wow.
So yeah, so 9:30 in the evening. Yep, 21:30. I know. Me doing math is always a questionable investment in time, only in the sense that I know that I'm bad at math. And my mom is a whiz, and of course, anytime that I'm playing cribbage with her, it's always interesting to watch her just add stuff up, and I'm just like an idiot. It's great. Why didn't you? I did just Google it. Yeah. He's living in the future, right? It's funny because my Australian friends are always usually a day ahead. It was funny when I got there. Took me a day to get there, plus an added day. So I would fly out on Portland on a Wednesday and land Friday morning, basically. Which just blew my mind. And on the way back, it's the funny thing about flying to Australia. So when I would fly back from Australia, I would usually leave 10 o'clock in. The flight there that usually heads back to LAX usually leaves right about 10 a.m. So by the time I hit LAX and then took my flight from LAX back to Portland, I would land at Portland an hour after I took off, same day. So like an 18 plus hour flight and all of that and the time adjustment. So you're basically following the Earth as you land, and it's it's the most confusing thing because you end up having basically a 42-hour day. It's that one day lasts for 42 hours. It's nuts. Let's see here. Ducky Admin says, are y'all hiring? You can actually go to our website and check out careers down at the very bottom.
I'm working on getting that pink case brought up, by the way. Sorry, I've been a little silent.
Awesome.
I think Hayden's going to be, we're seeing where he's at on the build. Said give him like 2 minutes.
That's awesome. This will be fun to look
those
at.
panels. Get those panels.
Vax said, my husband used to work in a different time zone than we lived, so he would leave work and arrive home at the same time with a 1-hour commute. Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
That's always so weird when you like, when the timeline is just like right in between two towns. You're like, well, that's
would
awkward.
Be so confusing. That would be crazy. I'm sure you get used to it, but wow.
So if you go to the very bottom of our website, Ducky, then under the header that says company, you'll notice down below privacy it says careers. Yes, Sky. Yeah, they're working on bringing yours up. This will be really fun to see.
If it's the one we're thinking of, Sky, then yeah, working on. Hayden's like in the middle of it, so I don't know what it's going to look like when it gets brought up here, but he said give him a couple minutes.
Okay, let's do.
What's up, Mohammed? Hello, thank you. How's it going? Good to see y'all. Raw kicks. No cybersecurity roles open. I am not so sure. I actually have no idea. I know there's technical support stuff. And the technical support team at CLX is amazing. Mr. Papa Wood. Papa Woody. Wow. Yep, definitely fell for it. Papa, how are you? That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. I know. So right now we're adjusting our fans. I know we've missed a couple little steps here while we're getting things all hooked up and cooked in because we got to talking. Right? Mm-hmm. Wow. That's I commend you for finding the fastest way to get a ban. Congratulations.
Ban.
Get banned.
Get out of here.
You are banned. I had to put down my beef jerky. God!
Nobody interrupts Ivory when he's eating.
Right? Jeez, people.
Beef jerky? It wasn't a Hot Pocket?
Or I'll hot pocket it out. I think I only ate 2 Hot Pockets that whole weekend, by the way. I did not capitalize on the free Hot Pockets. I missed out.
The time I brought you and me one, I'm pretty sure the microwave was like slowly dying because the minute and a half, that was like a 3 minutes long minute and a half.
It's like our microwaves in the break room.
Yeah.
It's like these things have served their job.
Yeah. Mine was still cold on the inside.
Yeah.
The first bite was the only warm bite, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Frostbite, I fully agree. It was always weird because, especially when we're back on Mixer, I had a very large percentage of my community was Australian. And so the time zones were just always messing with our brains. Always messing with our brains. What up, Tons? Yes, Mixer. Mixer, what's that?
Oh, Hayden's here, everybody.
Thanks, man.
We're going to make
Hobben wants to know where we're all from.
Quick.
The guys are in Wichita, Kansas. I'm in Portland.
Wichita.
So, your old Mixer, what up, man?
Thanks, brother.
All right, here it comes.
Yo, that looks so good.
You can set it up here if you want.
Yeah,
Hayden.
go for it.
Hayden is our other master builder, for those of you who don't know.
So how's this build going, Hayden?
It's going good.
Going good.
That looks sick.
I'm in the middle of it.
Good.
Nice.
All right, let's take a look and see how that's gonna. Yep, Fat Albert. We all started on Beam.
It's so heavy.
Yeah, look at this. Oh, with the front distro plate? Shut up. That's awesome. That is what I want on a PC, is that front distro plate so badly. Look at that.
So you can have it back, Hayden. We'll just show it for a little bit. So you can see he's got a lot of the open loop components in. You can see these fittings. So then we're just going to be building tubes, but we'll show you the top as well. This like gradient looks so good.
Oh, that's grand. That's so grand.
Sweet.
That's incredible.
We'll keep it up
Looking
here
gorgeous.
for a little bit.
And are they going to be so Sky, did you choose a pink filler like for your fluid?
Back to this one.
Let's see here. Yep, back to that one. Let's see here. Asus. Yeah, it's a really gorgeous PC. I'm breaking in. Let's see here. Hassan.
Yes. So that is a specially printed Sakura paint job, so that she will be able to see the liquid cooling on the inside and have the rest of the case printed.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. You can go ahead and select the... So, Hassan, I would definitely say you can go ahead and select all those options inside of our builder, and it will actually take you and give you a price tag on it. I still need to burn Windows 11 to a USB. Yes. Yep. Get that Windows 11 installer. Yeah, I'm hoping that Sky picked a pink coolant. I think that would be awesome if she did. So. Yeah, when we first saw those, I was absolutely fascinated. That was at PAX West last year, I want to say, when we had it there. Yeah. And it was, the whole place was pink and purple color, sorry, doing boss fights in a game. No, that's good. That's good. Game on. Game on. That's great. So it's, yeah, the whole streaming booth was decorated. So if you guys, so Nicole put the whole thing together and just themed it out. It was wild. It was so much fun. Kaizen asks, any magenta black designs?
Ooh.
So I'm not sure about magenta, but our raw print design is black and red, and that looks really good if you're into that. We've done quite a few of those on the show, so if you just want to see what that looks like, you can obviously pick the case on the website or go back through our VODs and see videos of us building one of those. We might have done one last week even. I think it was.
Hayden did raw.
Yeah, it had been a minute since we had done one, and then I feel like we just had a couple back to back.
And Zombie Rain, you're absolutely right. You can get a custom job by contacting customer service. And when we say custom, so like I have a white full-size Leon Lee here, right? But the whole thing, top and everything, is all custom designed. It's fantastic. It's absolutely gorgeous. The back is the same way. Like, and so if it just because it's not on the website doesn't mean it's not necessarily capable of doing. Obviously, you've got to maintain trade and copyright laws, but God, I love this case so much. It's so easy to just access things.
Yeah, the design on your case where it has like the earth and then the fans glowing through looks like the lights from the earth is really cool. That came out really nicely.
Yep, and there's a, for these fans, there's a feature where, because I've got a blue, but we're just little white sparkles all over the place, and so it's perfect for that. Yeah. None of your screwdrivers, the ratchet sound? Yeah, their ratchet screwdrivers are nice. I love that even now you still, you see a random. Oh God, yeah. Because when I'm looking at things, like I see things being done, and I'm like, I wonder where that is on mine. I love it. But let's see, how much would that add on a price? Just a golf park? Ballpark, yeah. If you're gonna get a custom paint job?
Yeah, so that's going to depend how many panels you want. Honestly, it's really hard for me to throw out a number because I don't want to mislead you in any certain way. But, I mean, it depends on how many panels you're doing, how many colors you want to incorporate, all that type of stuff. So I'm really hesitant to just throw out a number there for you without a few further details.
So, and it is literally the whole computer. you can see that kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the.
I'm not trying.
And
to
I'm
not
sad
give
that
you a
this is
straight
sitting back
answer,
against
John.
that wall because this is gorgeous. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that panel looks great. But it's definitely something too, Jedi, where if you had an idea in mind and you talk to our customer support and it's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and it's like, okay, it's going to be this much. It's like, oh, okay, well, if that's too much or not enough, we can pull back or add more, all that type of stuff.
There we go. So yeah, and about the turning around, I'm constantly always amazed and thinking about it and looking at it, and I'm still just in shock that it's right behind me constantly.
Cool.
Legendary Hawk, hi, welcome in, and says I really put a lot of work into my custom PC. It's $3,200, but I would love to have a custom paint job on it, like some kind of Viking look. I have a full tower Thor case. Ooh. Well, and the paint jobs. So, can you describe the difference between the paint versus the print?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do paint and we do print designs here. We do both. So our print design is what we just saw, that Sakura that we brought up here. That's a print. Same with our giveaway machine that was from last month. So what that is a really high quality UV printer that we actually program. We come up with our designs and we have to program that to the panels that we're printing on. But once we get everything dialed in, it's pretty smooth from there. And we just kind of let the printer do its thing as long as we get it calibrated correctly. For our paint designs, those are all hand painted. We obviously have our same design team comes up with the designs. Then we have Dave, who is our custom painter here. He's he is amazing at what he does.
Extremely talented.
Yeah, extremely talented. He used to do custom paint on motorcycles, and now he does them on computers. So we use all automotive paint here, so very high quality paint. It's all done by hand, and then we do an automotive clear coat as well. And that actual clear coat process is really what takes the most time, just because we like to apply a lot of layers, make sure it's cured correctly. And yeah, just the paint is just amazing. We all love it when we see a custom paint design here.
Howdy, Luna. How's it going? Oh yeah, cool. So production just mentioned they can pull a still up of my PC so you can actually see it a little bit closer. Let's check that out. There it is. That is my case. So it's still, and it's white on the inside. The outside is all dark and stars. So yeah, it turned out so incredibly well. I could not be happier with it. And that the custom white graphics card, I dig it. It's so good. It's so good. Skip, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Luna, I'm not sure why you're yelling, but hi, how are you?
What's up, Luna? We're
like
chatting
Fat Albert,
with
yeah,
you.
having a custom logo, you can definitely do that. It's totally possible. So again, absolutely amazing. Can you contact what? Luna, I can't. If I have to contact you on Twitter, then I have to contact everybody else on Twitter, and it's like lots of Twitter, and now it's X, and I'm just always confused. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yes, that is question. We've been doing these for, a year-ish.
Yeah.
But now we do them international instead of just North America, so it's super fun. Obviously, there's certain exceptions because we can't do it in certain countries. It's considered gambling. So, but there's like 209 countries. You posted your setup in the... Yeah, that's right. Elms, who is our other builder, you just saw him up there. That's Hayden. And he posted that in the CLX setups area. So, by the way, if you want to join an incredible community that, hang out with other like-minded PC enthusiasts and gamers and talk all things tech, head on over to discord.gg/CLX Gaming. That is our Discord right there, and you can see everybody post their builds. It's a lot of fun. Crazy Shot 666 says code. I'm gonna go ahead and say, hold on, let me respond. Word. Code word.
Code word.
Yeah, we haven't started giving out the codes yet because we've got something special coming Friday. Once again, as a reminder, our next show will be Friday, not Thursday, and this is just 1 week that we're doing this. Well, I just installed my first NVMe SSD. Unfortunately, it didn't come with a screw, and neither did my computer. Oh, no.
So those screws typically will come with your motherboard. The screws usually don't come with the M.2s themselves. So if you have your motherboard box with any extra stuff that came in, check there. You should have one in there. If not,
Gaff tape.
that's no bueno.
So it is the ROG Republic of Gamers Strix
How strict
White
is it?
3090 OC edition. There we go. So that's my graphics card. And now it used to be that they only made it in the 3090 was the only one that they did it with, and they started doing it with the 3080s for a little while, and now they've got a white series in the entire 40 series. So
Oh man, that's a good one. Honestly.
I think you're hilarious. Oh, Luna, don't be high maintenance. That's amazing. Giveaway for you. Jayhawk, what's going on? I would love a PC made by the hometown shop. I wish I could afford one maybe someday. Well, there's financing available through there.
Someday too. Representing the Jayhawks. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Ivory is really good at what he does, to be fair.
So I'm getting our power supply cables kind of set out, so I
let's
think it'd be a good time to talk about our power supply.
Let's do that. This is a 750 watt Silverstone SFX 750 80 plus platinum. So this looks like a fully modular one.
Yes, so this is fully modular, 80 plus platinum like you said, but the biggest thing that stands out is this is an SFX. So this power supply is tiny. I mean, you can see it right here in the palm of my hand. This is a 750 watt. They make 1,000 watt as well. That is also this size, which this just never gets old to me, holding the power supply like this.
Yeah,
like,
it's so tiny.
Wild how small it is. So yeah, fully modular. So you can see there's no cables pre-soldered in. You can see all of our ports right there to plug our cables in. That's what that is. These are all labeled as well.
Yeah.
Come on.
Which makes it a lot easier to figure out. There we go.
We're trying. The camera really is trying hard to focus. But yeah, so it is kind of rare to see an SFX power supply. We pretty much use them on these builds, maybe a couple others. Is there any major ones that you can think of, Zach, that we use the SFX on? A lot of our other small builds will typically take a regular size power supply.
Yeah, the 011 is the only one that we have. Yeah, that'll be the other than the Tomahawk, the Razer Tomahawk,
right.
the mini Tomahawk does use that.
One.
We don't get a lot of those that come through though.
Yeah.
We do have a question. A question came in from Legendary Hawk. Says, I have a question for the CLX guys. What do they call the tube coolers that have a tank inside of the case? And is that better than other coolers?
The tube coolers have the tank inside of the case? Like the
I'm
whole
assuming he's
case is
talking about
the
an open
tank?
loop?
Or...
I think he's referring to an open loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Open loop.
Yeah, what was the question, sorry? If we're talking about open loops?
It was what are they called? And it's an open loop liquid cooled system.
Mm-hmm.
And is it better than other coolers?
Yeah, so the open loop systems are superior as far as cooling goes. Now that being said, they are very expensive. There's a lot of labor that goes into it. So if that is something you're into, it is an amazing system with great cooling, and I can guarantee you will not be disappointed. They look great. It's that stuff never gets old. Really seeing those open loops come through. And they do cool a lot better.
Drop this.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, we got the power supply out, so I guess we'll get the video card out next. See what cables we need for it.
Alrighty. As for a graphics card, this is an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 Ti. This has 8 gigs of GDDR6 RAM, which is video RAM, which is all built into it. And it looks like this is from Gigabyte.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we've got the Gigabyte Eagle model today. I think I've seen one of these Eagles before on the 4060. Typically, that's got kind of a blackish gray heat spreader with some blue accents on it. That's typically what we see out of the Eagle. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Legendary. Someone called my name.
Yeah, right. There should be a crinkle warning when we're getting the gigabyte cards out.
Right.
So this is our card right here. This is our Eagle 4060 Ti. I like this card.
The framing on it.
I do too. The blue on the fans looks really good. It's kind of a grayish, bluish grayish, a little bit heat shroud on there. I like that.
Call that battleship blue.
Battleship blue.
Right?
I like it.
Yeah. Zombie mentions got the 6700 XT Eagle. And yes, that is a monster.
Yeah. So yeah, 4060 Ti, this is a great card right here. Typically when people ask, what video card should I get? This is the direction I'd point them in, either a 4060 or if you can go up to a 4060 Ti. Obviously, if there's room in your budget, you know, go 4080, 4090, 4070 if you can. But these 4060s and 4060 Ti's are great performing cards for gaming.
Yeah.
Single.
Boogeyman asked a good question. How's the market for getting GPUs nowadays?
That's an EPS.
As
it's
in
gotten
price
a
or
lot
availability?
Better. Okay, yeah. And really in both aspects, it's gotten a lot better. Man, during COVID, it was so wild. The just the availability of them and the price. I mean, obviously those things go hand in hand, but yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot better.
It's a 4060 Ti.
Ti, yep.
Yep.
And basically what Ti is, I mean, really, I see the Ti versus the regular version as two totally separate cards, but it's pretty much just a beefier version of the 4060.
Yeah. Limp Carl asks, I have an Intel i5 10 series. Can I run a 40 series card?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You might look at, you know, depending on what you've got your CPU at, you know, you might look at upgrading that, you know, in a couple of years. That'll probably be where your bottleneck would start, but I doubt it would be bottlenecking it right away.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and Spade, I did see that. And yeah, we'll be talking about the giveaway on Friday's show. You definitely want to be there once again, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, over on our Twitch channel. And that is where we'll be doing that. We'll have all sorts of fun information, and yeah, we'll be doing some things. Much love, Hawk. Appreciate it. Yeah. Appreciate all the loves.
2 slot.
All right, so
they call
it's a
me
2 slot card.
2 slot.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna make a joke, then realized it was terrible. Okay. Now, this being a larger size card, how is the weight on this, and is it something that may require a anti-sag device?
Good question. Yeah, this even though it's a little bit longer card, this is very lightweight, so we won't need to put an anti-sag bracket in there for this card. Now, when this system does ship, we will be putting foam inside this system to fill up all these open areas to hold that card in place, but we won't need to actually install an anti-sag bracket in this build.
Cool. I do like the way they've got the closed end on the back of the far side of the card.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks super clean.
Yeah, it really does.
Alrighty, let's see. How far?
Okay. Now, obviously, cable management is really important when you're dealing with something that is such a tight and small space. What are some considerations, Zach, for ensuring that you're getting everything through correctly and plugged in?
So the one thing with SFX power supplies compared to ATX power supply, as you could see, is the size. The cables also are short as well. So
Gotcha.
might have to have a video card, a VGA cable, at like over the top of the graphics card instead of the bottom, just because it might be
might
like a
not
short,
reach.
yeah, like if your graphics card, we've been having this issue with NV7s and like smaller graphics cards is, you know, it's a big reach to get from the power supply down to a smaller card. This is the kind of the same thing with if a smaller card is in here, it might be a little bit longer of a reach for our cables. That's why I like was measuring them, because every once in a while, I can't remember. This is a Silverstone. I was going to say Silverstone. Some of the power supplies will have a longer cable and a shorter cable, and they'll do that with the CPUs and the VGAs, and that's really just to help with cable management. So definitely make sure that your cables are the right length, and then stow them away.
Jeff from Jeff CNY, or I'm assuming Jeff from New York, says, I have a 3080 Ti and I would love to upgrade to a 4090, but it won't fit in my case. Yeah, the 4090s are monsters. They're huge. Trillist, yes, this is a customer build, so this is what the customer ordered. So,
yeah, Trillis, if you're skeptical about ASRock, they have come a long way in the past 2 years. When I first got into the industry, probably about 8 years ago, I was a little, ASRock really wasn't like an established brand and kind of viewed as on the cheaper side, but they have made leaps and bounds over the years. Like, I'm a big ASRock fan now, whereas before, you know, it was like Gigabyte was a big one. You know, there was a couple, even Intel was making boards back then. But no, ASRock has really stepped their game up, and they have for a while now. This isn't just a recent thing. They've really come a long way.
Tatva asks, what's the relationship with Asus and ASRock? That's a good question. Or Asus and ASRock.
I'm not aware of a relationship between Asus and ASRock. As far as I know, they're two totally separate entities.
Both companies start with the A.
That's true. And followed by an S.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jeff mentions, I keep telling myself the 3080 Ti is still a good card. It's still a great card.
Oh, yeah. The 3080 Ti is amazing.
I'm rocking a 3090 right now, and I can play 1440p at 144 and play Destiny 2 on max settings, and I'm pulling 200 plus frames per second.
Yeah, I'm rocking a 2080 Super right now, and it's running strong.
Yeah, right, Hawk? Like, the all-white builds are really actually fun. Oh, so apparently in 2010, ASRock was acquired by Pegatron, a company that is part of the Asus group. Interesting. Interesting.
Sounds a little sus.
Did not know that. Sounds a little sus. Sounds a little Asus.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, we're gonna finish up the tie-up here. We're almost there, though.
Perfect. And so while we're doing that, I'm gonna take the focus away from you, and we're gonna head over and talk a little bit about our website. We've had so many conversations in here happening about the PCs. I'm super excited about it. So let's take a look at how you can get your hands on an amazing PC. At CLX Gaming, we try and make it as easy as possible for you to be able to build the PC of your dreams and ensure that it works for you the way you need it to. So whether you are picking out a motherboard, processor, RAM, all of these things are adjustable, and you don't have to be a professional to do it. See that little yellow button that says solve conflicts? That happens if you happen to choose two different pieces that aren't necessarily compatible. A great example of that is if you happen to have chosen a DDR5 motherboard, but you had chosen DDR4 RAM, the options will come through and it'll say, okay, you can either choose a different one of these RAMs to work with that motherboard, or if you'd rather keep this RAM, these are the motherboards that will work with it. Once that button goes back to add to cart, you know everything is compatible, and that way when it heads on to testing after it's built, everything will work great and work perfectly. So with that being said, you don't have to be an expert for this. We also have ready to ship builds, and those ready to ship builds are amazing. You can check them out right now. Multiple different sizes and options, different price ranges, different performances with many different parts, and you're not stuck with it. Once you choose it, you can customize it. So say you see something that's close to what you want, but you maybe want more RAM, or you want to just upgrade the graphics card, you can adjust these things in our system. So it makes it pretty easy to just choose exactly what you want and get it built your way right away. So for everybody is looking for a brand new computer, head over to clxgaming.com. Lo-Fi Studio, yes. I bought a PC from you guys. Is your only location in Wichita, Kansas? Good question. Yes. All right.
All right, well, we got the tie-up finished. We're going to go ahead and throw our panels back on here, and we'll get this thing fired up.
Nice. And that, of
This
course,
such
is
a
the
clean
ventilation
tie-up,
tray. That's
Zach. Let me
Thank you.
show this a
take a
little
look at
bit. My goodness, that looks so good.
that looks amazing.
These
really does.
ITX, or I guess I shouldn't say ITX, these smaller form factor systems, the tie-ups can really be difficult on them to get all the cables going the right way with the shorter length, like you were
but see,
mentioning.
like you have a perfectly nice, beautiful tie-up, or not.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't
So,
do stuff in the reverse.
Panasoro, this, of course, is configured by the customer, so we build it to the customer's needs.
Can't see anything. I call this a wireless build.
There we go. All right. All right, there we go. So, Scott asked, did you plan on having a 13th gen DDR5 laptop? Any timeline on that?
That's a good question. I'm sure that we will. I have to check back on our website. The laptop field is just very talking about 13th gen Intel on laptops.
We should.
Yeah. Zach really builds pretty much all the laptops here. I know we have a couple other guys that know, but the laptop game is totally different than the desktops.
Cup Size asks, what's the site for the compatibility? You just want to go to clxgaming.com, click on the 3 buttons that are on the upper left-hand side, and then go ahead and start by choosing your design. Now, there's one thing that I did mention that we haven't really covered, and that's what happens to the PC once it's done being built. Paul, where do they go and what happens?
Yeah, so once the systems are built like this and they turn on, they go to our testing and integration department. And so the first thing we do there is get into the BIOS of the machine. We'll make sure all of our RAM speed's set correctly, all of our storage devices are showing up, M.2s, hard drives, all that good stuff. There may be another couple other settings in the BIOS that we'll mess with depending on the build. And then after your BIOS is set, we actually load the operating system, any games that you've picked on our website. If you didn't pick any games on our website, you just get your operating system with a clean install. We don't put any bloatware on the system. We really pride ourselves on that. If you don't want anything extra on your machine, you get just a fresh install. After it's been loaded, we'll stress test the system for 12 hours. So we've got a few benchmarking softwares that we use for that, the main one being 3D Mark. And that really runs the system through its paces and allows us to catch a component that maybe the system will still turn on with, but once it's in a gaming environment, causes it to fail. So to let us catch that there and replace it here in the shop, and that way you get a stable machine at home.
Yep. And that is the joy of it. They're a lot of fun.
All right. Well,
All
we'll
right.
get this framed up, and we'll be ready to go.
Sweet.
So you just, how's it looking, Jason? Sweet. All right, here we go.
Yep. All right. There we go. Check it out. Nice. Looks gorgeous. That is so bright, too, with all the white.
So good.
Yeah, it does. Okay. So let's go over one more time what is inside of this incredible little PC for our friend Brian in California. So this is an 011 Mini Snow White Edition Scarab case. It has an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X processor that's mounted on an ASRock B550M Pro 4 micro ATX board. It has 16 gigs of Patriot DDR4 3200 RAM, and of course that monster of a graphics card. It's a GeForce RTX 4060 Ti. The operating system is mounted on a 1TB Patriot P300 PCIe 3.0 M.2 NVMe, and it's cooled by a CLX Quench 120 closed liquid cooler. There are 7 different Gamdias Aeolus M2 fans, and that wonderful tiny little power supply is a 750 watt Silverstone 80 plus platinum. And there you go. Nicely done. Well played. So, with that being said, our show happens in 2 different parts. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, you're going to spend the afternoon with Zack as he continues to bring up and build different styles of computers, and he can talk all about the process and what he does and where his mindset is at when he's building. So, but first, if you want to keep up to date with all the things happening, including when our shows are, all you have to do is follow us on social media. That's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at CLX Gaming. You can also join our community again of like-minded PC enthusiasts and gamers at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. Our show Thursday will actually be Friday this week. Otherwise, our normal show times are Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays here, Thursdays on Purple, but our Friday will be our Purple Day, and you'll want to see why. It's an earlier time. It's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So with that being said, on behalf of Jason in production, Zach and Paul, I'm DJ BluePDX. Don't go away. We have more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.